so much for everyone who's joining us today on the Lunch and Learn. Today we have Ben Cull from Pinch Payments. Pinch Payments automates the collection of one-off and variable recurring invoices from Xero. Think of Pinch Payments as Stripe and GoCardless combined into one platform. Thank you so much, Ben, for joining us.
Thank you. The sun's come out for it as well. So I'm getting it right in my face.
Oh, do you need to move?
It should be all right. I'll see how we go. All right, let me get my little presentation ready as well. Makes me look really ominous. It's cool.
Yeah, you can jump up and turn it off, turn off the sun or
turn
pull
off the
down
sun.
the blinds.
I'll endeavor to do that. All right, let's get our share screen going. And can you see the correct screen?
Yes, we can.
Beautiful. All right, thanks everyone. I'll dive straight into it. It's about 22 minutes long, so hopefully we come in under the 20-minute mark. Welcome to the Lunch and Learn webinar. And to kind of give us a little bit of context to this, I'm just going to give a quick bit of backstory about Pinch. So it's co-founded by myself and Paul. We are two software developers who knew nothing of what we were doing, but we did it anyway. And we managed to get into the Xero marketplace in 2017, launched into Intuit in 2018. We managed to raise seed investment during COVID, which was a fun and wild story. I'll look forward to sharing that later on. And for a bit of context, we're now processing over $8 million a month for our merchants, and we serve just over 1,300 of them all across Australia. So it's an absolute world away from where we thought we'd get to, and we're continuing to grow. So absolutely love it. But what do we do for these 1,350 merchants? Well, we help them and their clients get paid online. And how do we do that? Well, in three very simple ways. So we have the Pay Now Online, which is this guy here. And this one's pretty straightforward. If you've ever seen an invoice get sent out of Xero, for example, it might look something a little like this. And we are the little Pay Now button. That's us up there. So getting paid, they'll click that, go off to the payment page, fill out their credit card, and away they go. So Pay Now Online, very straightforward. But there's two more powerful ways we do this as well. So we've got something called recurring payments, and that's variable recurring payments as well. So it doesn't have to be the same amount. And this one's a little trickier, so I'll just explain how it works. First of all, we collect the end customer's bank account or credit card information up front, typically during onboarding, especially for agencies and stuff like that. Really good to capture that data up front rather than asking for it later. What we'll then do is we'll hook into the popular online accounting systems, things like Xero, MyOb, Reckon, QuickBooks, and we'll listen for invoices. And then when one of them comes along, when it's due, we'll automatically execute a transaction there and then, settle the funds to the merchant, and then take care of all of the invoice reconciliation side of things as well. So all the little accounting bits you got to do, setting the invoices paid, moving money in clearance accounts, and the account transaction as well. So that's the kind of recurring payments, and it works for any invoice as well, which is the beauty of it. So you can do variable recurring as well. And finally, one of my favorite ones personally is the payment plans option. And so this is like a powerful and flexible way of breaking down a single invoice into a smaller set of payments. And so what we've got here, for example, is a $7,500 invoice. And then we turn it into still a $7,500 invoice, but we break that down. In this case, I've got a 45% deposit up front and then 10% monthly thereafter. And the eagle-eyed viewers will notice that the last payment is only $375. And that's, of course, because we'll only let you take the invoice amount. So you don't have to figure out to the dollar what it needs to be. You can just say, look, 45 up front, 10% thereafter, and we'll work out the schedule to the dollar exactly for you. So really, really flexible. You can get all sorts of different custom payment schedules using our payment plans. And so to sum that sort of stuff up, it's that we automate invoice-driven payments for business. That's pretty much us in a nutshell. You may be thinking, well, Ben, that's all well and good, fantastic, but what problems are you actually solving? And they are the following. Businesses, many businesses, typically spend too much time chasing payments. And it's not necessarily late payments, it can even just be on-time payments. Having to communicate with customers and hound them to get your invoices paid is a pain. We solve that by automating a lot of that away and making sure that you don't have to bug customers for that little $20 invoice they forgot to pay. Getting money into your account is easy, but figuring out who paid you and if it's the right amount is hard. And this is really where Pinch was born in the first place, is because some of our fellow payments processors in the community were great at moving money, but they really sucked at reconciliation. And so they're getting better, don't worry about that. But we nailed that from the get-go. That was our bread and butter, is making sure that accounts reconciliation is done properly. Typically, relying on people paying you via bank transfers is ineffective. People just forget to pay. And especially with us in the B2B industry, it's not that they don't want to pay, it's just that they don't have time, haven't seen the email, forgot. You know, it's never malicious, or it's very rarely malicious. It's usually just not convenient. Businesses don't want to deal with credit card and bank account details. You know, as more and more information is coming online, a business shouldn't have to deal with the important kind of compliance around storing these kind of details. And if you can give that up to someone else who's a professional at it and can do it easily, fantastic. I reckon that's an excellent idea. And this one's really interesting as well. And it's kind of a counterpoint to our business. It's many customers have processes that block payments automation. Now, that's, you know, lots of customers have these processes, or they have approvals, or they have just mental blocks. So like, I don't want that money automatically taken from me. And so how do you get the strength of payments automation with, you know, the approval side of things from customers? And so that's interesting. I've got a great reveal for the end of the video right at the end that kind of touches on this point. So look forward to that. So these are the problems that we solve, but let's hammer home where Pinch fits. What do we do really well? And basically, if there's an invoice involved, we're great at getting it paid. We are invoice driven. Think inventory, agencies, wholesaling. Wherever there's lots of invoices flying in and out of the door, we're great at making sure that money lands in the right spot. We're predominantly B2B, by the way, as well. So we do a little B2C, but for the most part, it's geared towards letting businesses pay other businesses. We're really great at chasing small, frequent payments. The classic example is, I mean, even just passing on Xero subs. You're giving out these little $50, $70 invoices to businesses, and then you're charging them a few $1,000s, and they'll pay the few $1,000s, but you don't want to go and bug them to say, hey, by the way, you forgot your last month's little $20. You don't want to be hounding your customers for these small, you know, relatively negligible invoices. And so by getting them onto direct debit, most people are happy to say, yeah, look, just take that out automatically. We don't need to worry about it. So if you don't think it's worth chasing, that's great. That's where we come in. We'll do it automatically. Like I said just before, variable recurring payments. So it's not just your $100 a month repeating invoice. It's not, it doesn't have to be that fixed amount. If you're raising a different amount every month, you're doing it in a recurring fashion, but the invoice amounts are variable, we're great at handling that. We just look for any invoice on the system. We've got great thresholds so that we won't automatically take large ones if you don't want us to. We can kind of limit it down to say only automatically debit things under $1,000 or whatever threshold you might set. So we can really cover taking any amount, and you're not forced to work the way that you don't want to work. You can just keep going as you are, and we'll automate things. And lastly, we're really good at breaking down large invoices, and this is more geared towards your professional services side of things. If you're doing work and it's like 30 to 50 grand, but you don't want to obviously take that all in one whack, we're really good at letting you raise a single large invoice for the whole job, and then we can break it down into a payment schedule and chip away at that invoice. So you don't have to think about, oh, where was milestone 1's invoice and where's milestone 2's invoice? None of that. Keep one invoice, full amount, and we'll break down those payments as we go. So you can track that all against a single invoice. Really good at that. And I'm not just making it up. We're really proud of our reviews as well. So the things we do well, we do really well. And we get, my favorite one is the email at the bottom left there. Someone just out of the blue dropped us an email to say, you rock. And we haven't had many of those before. So that was a really nice feeling. But I highly suggest, by the way, reviews really, really help us. So if you're our customer, please leave us a review. But also, if you use apps in the ecosystem and you're a fan of those apps, please review them, because it makes a big difference and it lets other people know which ones are the standouts So I highly recommend you go rate all the apps you use, especially the ones you love. So let's move on to what Pinch doesn't do well. And the number one thing we get questions for are e-commerce. So we don't do e-commerce well. We're not geared up to take, online store orders or, things from Shopify or things like that. There's plans for B2B style e-commerce stores where you're working with businesses on account, but they might need perishables or consumables, and they might need to just raise those separately now and then. That kind of stuff's okay, but your typical e-commerce, not for us. And secondly here, large single direct debits. So people trying to just move money between entities, anything kind of 10K plus in one whack for a direct debit especially is a no-go from us. You'll need, it's quite a risky endeavor, and so you'll need specialized businesses to move much larger amounts of money. All right, one of my favorite questions actually was this is, what do you integrate with? And my favorite thing is just go bang and here we go. So we live by our integrations. That is the strength of our business. The quality of the integrations is not just who do you integrate with, it's like how well do you integrate with these things as well. And we can honestly say we think we have the best Xero integration in the ecosystem. And that's probably the same for some of the others as well, but probably by default, to be honest, because there's less competition there. But the major accounting systems, Xero, QuickBooks, MyHub, Reckon, we have all of our full suite of functionality works across all systems. And we really try to keep it that way. So if it behaves one way in one system, it'll behave that same way in the other. And especially for accountants, that's a great way to make sure that you can see what's going on across a suite of customers, regardless of what accounting suite they choose. You'll notice I've got Dear Systems up the top there. We've got a really great integration with Dear coupled with Xero together so that you can use the power and flexibility of Dear's invoicing connected to its inventory, but you can still get the payments and reporting side of things out of Xero, the accounting side. And those two systems together work really well for inventory businesses. So I highly recommend you check that out. And lastly, at the top there, I've got HubSpot. As we move in towards a lot of professional services and agencies and things like that, we got a lot of feedback that the source of truth for them is their CRM. That's where they want everything to live. And a lot of businesses came to us and said, hey, we've got HubSpot and we've got all these contacts, but we want to know if they've got overdue invoices, but we don't have to make a connection to Xero. And the person that owns the business doesn't really want to give their accounts management team access to Xero because it's a bit sensitive. So what we're doing is we're bridging the gap between getting insights out of Xero and bringing them into HubSpot so that you can just sit in HubSpot, see that, oh, this contact has overdue invoices, this contact's worth this much to us, and get these kind of insights going, hand them to your accounts management team, your sales team, and let them stay in their world. And then also things like one thing we released recently is letting you capture credit card and bank account details directly through a HubSpot form, just using an embeddable link. So if you're already using these sales and marketing tools, we're trying to help bring the payments experience and connect everything end to end. HubSpot, Xero, Pinch, get the whole thing talking together. And that's why I think the power of integrations is so important to us and to everyone, really. So speaking of integrations, let me just talk a quick simple amount of kind of what we're actually doing here. So when we're talking about the accounting platforms specifically, we have a two-way sync of contacts and invoices. So any contact or invoice raised in Xero, for example, will come down into Pinch, and vice versa. Any contact or invoice that you add to Pinch, be it through the portal or through our API, if you're using an integration, we can push that back up into Xero as well. So you've got the option of using your source of truth wherever you want it to be, and we'll connect the dots. We obviously reach in and mark all the invoices as paid. That one's pretty straightforward. We automatically add the charts of accounts that we need to make the things work. So you don't have to do any accounting setup yourself. We've taken care of all of it. So we add a clearance account there to see the coming and going of payments, and a fees account so that you can see specifically how much fees you've paid to Pinch, for better or worse. So we also add account transactions for one-click reconciliation. So if you had 100 payments in a day, we'll settle the funds to you in bulk, and we'll add an account transaction so that once per day, you can rock up into Xero and just hit the big green OK button, and you're good to go. So speaking of which, I've got 5 minutes. I'm going to plow through a quick demo, and I'll explain how our 3 particular little scenarios work here in slightly more detail. So pay now. This one was straightforward. We've got an invoice. I've raised it in Xero. In this example, the customer receives their email and clicks the link and comes into Xero, and they go, oh, yep, I'll pay that. They hit pay now. Whoop, there it is. They'll land on our payment page, and they'll have the option of paying via credit card or bank account. And then once they have done that, boom, you've got a paid invoice. Simple as that. But what if we could help you and your clients get paid always? Well, that's the second part. That's recurring payments. So in this instance, we have a few new customers who have just been onboarded into our business, and we have the option of sending either all of them or some of them a pre-approval form. Now, this asks them for some basic details that we'll need, but most importantly, their credit card or their bank account number. Once they have given those over to us, you can now, from now on, start raising your invoices as per normal. And then on the invoice due date, we will do a little bit of trickiness in the background to execute a transaction, and then you get a paid invoice. And not only do you get a paid invoice, every invoice from then on in will be paid. And you've got, again, thresholds and settings around which ones are automated, but all of them could be automated. It's up to you. We also have our clearance account in there showing the comings and goings of payments. And of course, that big OK button once per day is all you need to reconcile your accounts. For all that, there are no monthly fees. It's completely pay as you go. There's no setup fees, no minimum fees, no hidden fees. It's all just the transaction fees. It's completely paperless to sign up. I know there's a question in there, like, how does the sign up process work? Literally, it's all online. Jump on. You're going to need a few bits of basic identification for a director. You'll need some ASIC documents. You'll need a bank statement, things like that. But to be honest, you log in, you upload all your documentation. You should be up and running in no time. Lastly, proudly developed in Brisbane. We are Brizzy born and bred. The product, our offices are in Tenerife. If you're ever nearby, please come in and see us. We'd love to show you our offices covered in all this lovely seascape artwork that you see here. And if you're thinking, oh yeah, this sounds like a pretty decent thing, wait till you see this. Fresh out of the oven, brand new. This is one of my favorite features, and it's killing me that we didn't build this sooner, because it has been so simple yet so effective. It just blows my mind. Do you know what it is? When people hit pay now and they rock up onto the payment page, we added this one little line here that says, hey, we also found these other open invoices for this contact. Do you want to include them in this payment? They just go, oh yeah, I probably do. I forgot about that one. I missed that email. Oh, I thought I paid this, but maybe I didn't. There you go. I'm just going to tick include. And then bang, one payment covers all these multiple invoices. They can choose which ones they want to pay. They don't have to. They're coming to pay the main invoice that they clicked on, but you're just letting them know there's some other ones there. Everything is fully reconciled as per normal. And this has massively recovered a whole heap of aged invoices. The reason I'm kicking myself is because I didn't think this was going to be a huge deal. I thought this was a little nicety, but it has actually made a massive difference to so many businesses. And to be honest, if you're like, oh, this sounds kind of cool, it's kind of interesting, I maybe don't want all that automation power, I would be signing up just for this feature alone, just to get your pay now moving just that little bit quicker, especially if you have a problem with overdue invoices. Blows my mind. But the other thing that, and this is the little reveal here, this is an exclusive reveal, Heather, by the way, so you're very lucky. Coming soon, I was talking about the control and approvals and customers who have blockages to automation. And so what we've been doing is thinking about how we could give those payers, those customers, their control back, but in a convenient way again. So we want automation, convenience, but we want control as well. And that's where we're starting to work on a product called the Pinch Payer Portal. And this is where a customer will be able to log in to Pinch themselves, and they're going to be able to see all of the open invoices they have for themselves. They're going to be able to make that batch payment, be able to tick which invoices they want to do, hit go. They'll be able to store their credit card or bank account details without the business having control of it. They'll be able to have it just for themselves, no automation, they can approve and have things go as they want. If they want to batch everything at the end of the week each week, they can do that. If they, they have the power. And I think that's really important. Not only can they see all of the payments that have been made through Pinch, we actually are surfacing all of the invoices in general for that contact. It doesn't even have to be paid through us. If it's an invoice connected to that contact, you can come in here and you can view the invoice and you can download the PDF ripped straight out of Xero. So it's a self-service portal that really gives control and ability for customers to come in, collect the data that they need. No more contacting you at the end of financial year for invoices, statements, all this kind of stuff. They'll be able to get it themselves all in one whack. And I'm really excited about that. If that's interesting to you, it's coming soon. We're mid-2021 at the time of this recording. If you're interested in playing with the payer portal or being notified, fun fact, you actually have to sign up. This is going to be our members only beta release. So get in there. It costs nothing to create an account. It doesn't even have to do anything. You can just get yourself connected, explore the system. And once you do have an account, we're going to be sending out notifications to people about how to get connected with the payer portal as well. And that at 20 minutes and 43 seconds is my presentation. Thank you so much for listening to me. And I think we're going to jump back over for questions.
Thank you so much, Ben. That was a very exciting presentation. Really enjoyed it. Now, we've even got people in the audience clapping for you, Ben. Does anyone want to jump in and ask any questions of Ben? Does anyone want to pop any questions? Michelle, I thought Michelle would. Here's Michelle.
I always have questions. How does it handle overseas payments?
So international. Yep, so we support Australian-based businesses, but we handle international card payments just fine. There's an increased fee for that, but we don't do direct debit internationally. So bank account payments.
Okay, great. And my other question that I put in the notes is, can we link this with something like ServiceMate, where the payment's taken in ServiceMate, not in Xero, or does it have to go through Xero?
Our custom integration between us and ServiceMate, fun fact, we have asked them in the past. So if that is something you would like, the best way to get something like that moving is as a customer of ServiceMates to talk to them and request it specifically yourself. Say, hey, we'd love a Pinch integration. That'll get the ball rolling on those kind of things. Because again, we would love to integrate with as many things as we can. It's just getting that customer demand there. But in the interim, going through Xero is the easiest way. If ServiceMate's raising invoices in Xero, then we can detect them and pay them.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for that question, Michelle. Does anyone have any other questions? So I've got some questions for you that are coming through privately to me, Ben.
No worries.
What does not work for B2C payments?
So
do you want to maybe drop the presentation down so we can all be big?
Oh, yep, sure, of course. There we go. It's tricky to say. It's mostly our services work when there's invoices raised. So if you're still raising an invoice, but for a consumer, that's totally fine. It's where it's just like a shop front, or there's no service in place at the, services haven't been rendered already. It's just kind of payments flying off the shelf. That's where we're not great at it. And really, to be honest, the only thing that's, I would say, worse about us in that sense is because a lot of our power is in the automation of the accounting side. Mm-hmm. So if there's no accounting side, you're just looking at us as a payments processor. And I'm going to be honest, we're slightly more expensive than most of the payments processors. So there's not a whole lot of incentive. A lot of our value add, and the reason we can be priced above others, is that we do provide so much value.
And do they have a partner program? So I think you touched on that, but would you like to share anything about the partner program? If you have a partner program, anything about that?
We used to really pimp the partner program back in the day. We do have a partner program. Please get in touch about it. We've got referral kind of commissions. We've got great education and stuff like that as well. If you're interested in that kind of thing and referring businesses to us, we'd love to chat about it. But it is very much a case-by-case thing at this time.
Fair enough. And what are the minimum sign-up requirements, which I think you just put on the screen and said nothing, you can just sign up.
Yeah, so you can get going straight away. The kind of verification requirements around, offering a financial product are still there. So we're going to have to verify your identity and various bits like that in your business. But it's all fairly straightforward. If you go through the sign-up process, it handholds you through that. So it'll just be things like identifying you, getting your bank account that we're going to settle to, connecting you to your accounting system, and yeah, getting your business up and running. So I would recommend just kind of going through the process, and you can always bail at any time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone else want to jump in and ask questions? Please do so. I've just got questions coming through for me, but Electra, looks like you're going.
I'm just thinking about, my ears pricked up when you mentioned Dear.
Oh, yes.
Pretty hefty system to manage, and so we've used specialist integrators with that. Would there be any sort of integration issues with Dear that we would need to alert a client to if we were to recommend they check out Pinch Payments to solve their customer payments problem?
I'm going to go ahead and say probably not. I'm sure it works excellently and flawlessly, and will never break whatsoever.
Do you provide some support there with?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So if you are looking to see exactly kind of how the Dear integration works, get in touch with the sales team. They'll put you onto the right people that specifically know the Dear integration. It's probably going to be Paul, to be honest. So I'm going to throw him under the bus there. I don't think there are any like gotchas at the moment. I think it's usually just around the invoices, and it should be fairly straightforward as long as it's not out of the ordinary. But Paul, do you want to jump in there?
Yeah, the biggest thing with Dear is working with their wonderful mail merge templates to make sure that the payment link is correct. But generally what we'll do on that is you send a request to our support team. Blake has done far too many of them for him to ever recall. So he'll be able to help you out with that, send it you back, and then you can just test it away, and then you're good to go.
Okay, I'll check in with you, Paul. Thanks for that.
Awesome. Thank you, Electra, for your question. Anyone else have a question that they'd like to jump on with? Okay, we had
one more. What about turnaround time as far as when it hits your bank account? Excellent question.
So the credit card turnaround time is 2 days rolling, and the direct debit one is 5 days rolling. And these are business days as well. So be aware of that. Some people are caught out by that. If you're continuously processing, it shouldn't be too bad, but those are the settlement clearance times.
Why does it take 5 days for direct?
Banking
I know
system.
that's not you, and I know that the other financial systems are exactly the same. So anyone listening in, I know that's not you. It just astonishes me that in
partly
this day
for
and
us,
age.
Partly for us, so the direct debit system is fairly antiquated. Fun fact, you never ever get a yes, that payment worked. You only ever get a no. So you just have to wait and then assume that it worked. Especially with us and our size, if you've got businesses offering shorter than like 3 business days in the direct debit area, they're large enough to actually kind of short settle you as a merchant based on risk, and they've got a big pool of capital. And that's how that kind of works. We're much too small to make that kind of risk. And so we actually have to do the hard wait, which is, it's kind of sucks, but we're kind of stuck with it.
Okay, thank you for that.
This is something we need to stick Alexi Boy and Cosboa on.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? I've got a few here, but does anyone else have any questions? Can I ask, what is the reporting like?
Oh, this is actually an interesting question. So we don't have barely any reporting within our system because we're so tightly integrated to the accounting platform. The accounting platforms already do it so well that we don't really need to do anything. We'll let you know what's coming and going. We'll let you know what failed and why. But if you're pulling reports, typically people will pull it out of the accounting system.
Thank you for that answer. When you set up milestone payments, or you set up an invoice for milestone payments, do you need to know ahead of time the actual schedule, or as in a construction business, you go, oh, it rained all week, so I've pushed it out a week? Yeah, so at the moment you do. It's a date-based payment scheduling system at the moment. You can, as circumstances arise, jump into that schedule, the individual schedule,
and move the dates later if you would like to. So there is that flexibility, but it's not going to wait there for you to hit an approved milestone kind of thing yet, though. That is proper milestone payments is actually on the roadmap, but many things are on the roadmap.
What does the invoice look like in, I'm sorry, I'm going to pick Xero. What, and you can just verbally tell me, what does the invoice look like in Xero if I've now raised it for milestone payments?
So the invoice remains the same. If you've raised it for milestone payments, it's not until an actual payment is executed that you'll get a payment added to that specific invoice. And then it just kind of adds payments, working down that balance until it's complete.
So if a person's looking at it completely unaware of pinch payments involvements, it's just going to look naked, and it's they're not going to be aware of that. And they're also, for their cash flow forecasting, not going to be aware of those payments and the schedule of those payments coming out.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone? Excellent. Oh, is there anything else, Ben, that you would like to share with us? And would you like to let everyone know how they can get in contact with you?
Yeah, of course. Okay, so the Chumps way of getting in contact with us is just to visit the website and go through the normal channels. The best way is to directly email hello@getpinch.com.au. You'll be surprised how much quicker everything flows through that email inbox. If you want to get in touch with Bill, use the little intercom widget on our website. He's always monitoring that, and he'd love to take your phone call. He is so much better at taking phone calls. I hate taking phone calls. Bill loves taking phone calls. So get in touch with him. He'll be happy to chat your ear off about anything related to your business, hopefully to do with Pinch though. And those are honestly the two best ways to get in contact with us.
I have a question, Ben.
Yeah. Oh, you have a question, Paul? Yes.
Do we integrate with Zapier now?
Oh, excellent question. We do, in fact, integrate with Zapier now. So if anyone is clever and has played with the Zapier endpoints before and wants to integrate Pinch with a system, especially a CRM, I found are the really good ones for this, but wants to integrate with Google Sheets or wants to send emails out of their own inbox. We now have a full Zapier suite. It's about to be released publicly, but if you get in touch with us, you can get the invitation link to it. Super powerful. We already have people bringing in new contacts from Xero straight to Pipedrive that they've done themselves. They've got what invoices are, which contacts have overdue invoices. They're flowing that data through. There's a lot of power and sending their own emails as well. A lot of people like to do. Tons of power. Excellent question, Paul. Thanks for paying attention.
Well done on the Dorothy Dixer there. Susan's asked for you to put the email in the chat box. If someone can do that, you could get Paul and Bill to do that. Oh no, yeah, they have access to it.
Bang, there we go, to all panelists.
Excellent. Good. Thank you very much. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you very much, Ben and Bill and Paul, for joining us and sharing with us everything about pinch payments.
Thanks for having us.